Major population centres are on alert. Sydney faces a catastrophic fire danger for the first time. The RFS is warning Greater Sydney, the Greater Hunter, the Illawarra Shoalhaven areas all face a catastrophic fire condition today. Catastrophic is the highest danger rating. The RFS advises it's as bad as it gets. It's off the conventional scale. And if you are facing these conditions, leaving early is the only option available to you. Do not wait to see what happens. If a fire takes hold in catastrophic conditions, lives and homes will be at risk. Peter Stefanovic is live in Taree for us this morning, where we begin our coverage.
Yeah, good morning to you, Laura. There are people who are staying here at the showgrounds in Taree who have certainly taken those warnings. There's about 100 people here who've brought their animals and whatnot down because the resources are all in place, but they're certainly not taking that risk given what happened in the mid-north coast last Friday when more than 100 buildings burned down and 3 lives in the region were lost too. It was just terrible, a terrible development in these bushfires. But I just want to bring in Andrew Gissing now. He's the former Deputy Chief of the Victorian SES and the now Risk Frontiers Consultancy Group. Andrew Gissing, good morning to you. Joins us from Sydney. Thanks very much for joining us. What's your view of these conditions that are in place today? Catastrophic is the warning around the Greater Sydney, the Illawarra Shoalhaven and the Hunter region.
Good morning, Pete. Yes, these catastrophic fire conditions, it means essentially what you've just said, that they're off the charts in terms of the fire danger rating. It's as bad as it gets. What it means is today, if fires do start around Sydney, the Illawarra and the Newcastle area, it's going to be really hard to bring those fires under control. And also that, the Australian homes are just not built for truly catastrophic fire conditions. The other really worrying thing today, especially up on the north coast, is we've already got fires burning. It's going to be really dry today, really windy and quite warm up along the coast there. Even though they're only predicted to get to extreme, which is the second highest level, there's really significant danger there, especially with the mapping that the RFS has released overnight, showing those progression of those fires towards the coast being fanned by these strong northwesterly winds.
Andrew, in your experience, when it comes to these conditions that are so high and so dangerous, what is the biggest danger that leads to deaths?
Well, the key thing today is early decision making. So if people are still planning to leave their homes, which is the safest thing to do if they're living close to the bush, around Sydney alone there's 100,000 addresses, according to our research at Risk Frontiers, at risk of bushfires. So making early decisions is key. Having a foot in both camps is very dangerous, thinking that you're going to stay, see what it turns out like, whether or not you can prepare, defend your home and see how it goes. That's a very dangerous mindset to take into today. If you do get into trouble, it might just be too late. Being caught on the roads with late evacuations is very dangerous, and you may not have many options available to you to shelter safely once the bushfires do threaten your home.
Well, Andrew, just on that, can you remind people who might be in those areas, you've just outlined a huge number of homes that might be threatened today, how fast do the flames move when they're fuelled by the current conditions? We've talked about that deadly cocktail today of low humidity, high temperatures and strong winds. I mean, how fast can those fires move, particularly when so much of the region is stuck in drought?
Well, that's right. They can rapidly spread in minutes. We've got wind gusts forecast today around Sydney of around 65 kilometres an hour. That especially means that people living up around the Ku-ring-gai Chase National Park, the Blue Mountains around the Royal National Park, and places around the Lane Cove National Park too. These places, Sydney is a leafy bush city. It's the reason why we love it so much, but it also gives us this bushfire risk on these catastrophic fire days.
Andrew, Black Saturday, February 2009, it's one of, if not the biggest disaster in Australian history. What can we learn from that today that could be applied?
Well, we've learned a lot since Black Saturday, especially after the Victorian Bushfires Royal Commission. Some of the key things is more of a focus on warnings. That was a key message from the Royal Commission, and we've seen that, really proactive warnings from the fire services tailored to individual communities. We've also got new technology since the Black Saturday bushfires, better fire prediction systems, better emergency warning systems, for example, the emergency alert, a mobile phone telephone alerting system. That's an improvement. Also about the way that we encourage people to leave early on these days, knowing that these fires are different on catastrophic fire days, that very difficult to extinguish, and it's difficult for people to stay and defend their homes. So the key message there coming out of the Black Saturday bushfires, on days like today, it is the safest thing to do is to leave your home and leave early in the day. Don't leave it to too late, and don't have a foot in both camps.
But is there any particular area that is bushfire proof? I mean, when you're talking about an area that's the size of Sydney that is so built up, I mean, the danger warnings have stretched towards Lane Cove, which is getting quite central when it comes to Sydney anyway. Bushfires can break out, as we know, at any moment with the risk of an ember flying several kilometres.
So at West Frontiers, we've done a lot of research after large bushfires to see how far away from bushland buildings have been destroyed. And what we've found is that the vast majority of homes destroyed from bushfires are within 500 metres, with the larger percentage also being within 100 metres of bushland. For example, after the King Lake and Marysville blazes in 2009, part of those Black Saturday fires, 90% of the homes that were destroyed were within 100 metres of the bushland. In Tarthra recently, 78% of homes that were destroyed were within 100 metres of the bushland. So that gives your viewers some indication of where the risks lie.
Yeah, I was down there in those Tarthra fires last year too, and witnessed firsthand the destruction that those fast-moving fires can cause. Andrew Gissing, really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Pete.